Right, well, it's been a massive week at work this week. Lots of things going on in my life at the moment, so that's a good thing. I've got, prospects, you might say, but I'm back in the workshop. I got a few hours this evening that I'm going to try and spend wisely. And look, what I really want to try and do is I want to get this Type 4 engine running. I gurneyed it a lot, sprayed a lot of water in it, and I would love to just, get a couple of cycles through it and just get those cylinders cleaned out. I've never had this thing running. I've got it kind of mounted in the engine bay. Look, I've got the front mount on the trans done. I've still got a lot of work to do with the actual thing, mounting up in the back here, but it's kind of sturdy. It's kind of locked in. So I feel like I just want to get this thing turning over. It means I need to bolt a starter motor in it. I need to actually mount those carbies properly, put the exhaust back on it, put the fans all in it. I need to put the pulley back on it to get it. Do I even need that? That's only to make it charge. Probably don't need the pulley back on it. In these, in a Beetle, you're relying on the pulley to get the fan turning. This one, that's not. The fan turns direct off the crank. Plugs, some simple wiring. I need to just wire up a coil, which I'll probably just put the original coil back on. So yeah, there's stuff to do. But I'm just cycling through it in my mind, and then we're just going to get it through. So first thing to do is I've got to mark out these carby. I'll show you what I'm doing. When I mounted these carbs up, these manifolds, I reckon they're pressing on the tin without clamping them up properly. So I need to mark them with a marker, take those off and cut them out so that the manifolds press up directly, both sides. You can see the tin wears clamped in there, and I really feel like that's stopping them closing up properly. So I guess that'll be step one. I'll just get that done, and then we'll go from there. So I don't know if you can see, that's the mark there where I need to cut it to. And look, honestly, I could hit this with a die grinder and probably do it, but I think what I'm going to do is just go with the old tin snips and cut that out. I should be able to get in there with the reds and greens. I'll just have a go. I've got a decent set of reds here. I think they're good. I think my greens weren't that great. Hopefully it's the reds that I need. So if I can cut from under, I might be able to do this all right. I just want to make sure that I'm cutting enough. I think I'm going to need greens. And I know for a fact these greens aren't great. But we'll give it a go anyway. In case you don't know, greens and reds, they cut the opposite way, so the offcut will go either left or right. The greens are known as lefts and the reds are known as rights. And you can see these ones are pretty blunt. Okay, if I can get that maybe to there, I might be able to swap over and come over the top. Not quite. To just take over the top. Ah, yes. I think I got it. Yeah. I think that'll do. Now this one I should be able to get a bit better from underside. I need to cut. Well, that's fitted up much better. I can actually move the tinware out. It's not pressed anymore. And that carb is bolted down snug. So look, at this stage I'm just going to run these. That's a 45 Weber clone. Probably too big. Definitely too big. I could bolt the 40s I've got on there, but hey, look, I got them on there. May as well try them. I did have them running on the 1916 in the rat trap. They were running, so they must be jetted somewhere around where they need to be. Repeat the process on this side, so I'll just flop that off. Sometimes these things can get bound up on them 4 bolts. Anyway, I'll get that off, undo that, mark it, do the same thing, snip that, get that on, and next will be the exhaust. All right, so that's both carbs mounted up, you know, properly now. The next thing I'm going to do before I get under there and do the exhaust is just put a linkage on it. And luckily, you know, when I was building, I don't know, one of these motors somewhere, I found linkages fairly cheap. And I thought, well, at the time, I've got multiple sets of carbs. I may as well have multiple sets of linkages. So I bought them. And I've got a brand new set unopened, so I'll be able to have everything in there without having to piece bits together. So that'll be the next step, I guess, is just bolting up a linkage. Right, well, we've got the basic setup achieved. It's a little bit dark here in the back of the shop, I apologise. So the linkage, you know, obviously these things need tuning. Normally when you first start your engine or when you're first getting it cracking, you won't have the linkages done and that's how you tune it. But I'm just going to get this thing, I just want it to bark. And that seems to be all, you know, kind of working. There's a couple of different stages to getting an engine running, especially an old car. First is get it to bark, get it to fire. Second is get it to run, and then thirdly, you get it to run better, and then at the end, you get it to run well. So it's not as if the first time you start the thing, you're expecting it to just idle. So if I can just get it a bit of fuel. My next biggest problem is that the original thing was set up with a vacuum advanced distributor, and I don't have any vacuum on these carbs. So I think I'll just try and tackle that next. Look, so I started looking at the distributors that I've got, and this one, it still points, and I believe I set this one for a previous turbo car I've got. This is just like a cheap Chinese one. I've got this one here, which is a Pertronix flamethrower, and I reckon this one, something cooked in this module, because I've got a feeling this one never made spark. And when I was looking at the module in that, it looks different to this. So I figured, look, at this stage, like I said, there's stages to this. First stage is just get it to bark. And I think if I can just leave that distributor alone, hook it back up, hook back the coil that it had, my chances of getting this thing to actually bark off are probably pretty good. So I'm just gonna leave it for now. And then once we know she fires and runs, we'll start playing with that kind of stuff later. Next step is put the exhaust on. So what I've done is I've actually just using the old heater boxes. I cut the skins off them because they were just covered in oil. I was talking to a fella at the show that I was at, whenever that was, last weekend. And he was saying to get the J-pipes for these things are mighty expensive. And his recommendation is you just cut the tops off them and weld up your own. And whilst that is a great idea, I don't have a heap of stainless pipe or pipe enough or even the facility to bend it properly. So at this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use those. All I need to do at this stage is get it running. So we'll get them on, I'll get it running. I do have this, which I bought at the show. I think I might have shown this earlier in the video. It's a muffler. Combi muffler. It cost me $5. Yes, $5. So I'm going to bolt it on. It's going to be a heck of a lot, you know, better than the rusty thing that was on there. It was falling apart. So let's bolt that on. It's not going to take us long, and we'll just see if we can get it to bark off. I think I've shown you guys this process before. I always have a sheet of this on hand because, hey, guess what? I don't have any exhaust manifold gaskets. The ones that I pulled off the old one, they're just absolutely cooked. So I'm just whipping up another set. Look, it's pretty simple. Hole saw, drill bit, cut them out, bolt them on. And just like that, I got a couple of brand new exhaust gaskets. They're not perfect. But look, if you've been watching this show long enough, you know, not much is, you know. But it does the job and the cars drive. So look, I just want to get this thing. I've got about half an hour. Can I get this thing running in half an hour? There's a very good chance. I'm going to bolt this other side up, get these on, and see if we can get some fuel to this thing. Well, that looks a heck of a lot better than the old one that it had on it, that's for sure. I reckon it's going to be loud. I just got a feeling that's going to be a very loud exhaust. So I need two more things. I need a battery and a starter motor. So I've got a battery in a car down the hill and a starter motor on a gearbox that's just outside. I also need a fuel tank with some fuel in it. I think the boat tank still has some fuel in it. So I could be there. Give me a minute. Well, I'll get rid of those rags. If you remember when I was starting that thing for the first time, I kind of half made a start rig. It's still half made, and there it is. So I kind of feel like I'm ready. I've got some fuel in there. Look, let's just hit the power and see if anything smokes. So far, so good. Let's hit the... That's because I've got no power going to this thing. I shortened this because I needed some of this big, thick red wire for another job. Anyway, I'll zip that on, switch everything else off. I think off is down. And then we'll try that again. All right, let's take two on that. So in theory, I should press this and it should crank. It does, but why is that distributor moving like that? Is it just the cap? Maybe it's just the cap. That didn't look good though. It's not meant to do that. Let's hit the fuel. Clicky clacky kicks on. Fuel filters priming. Seems to be sucking. I might just put the fuel tank up higher just to make it a bit easier for it. Alright, that's squirting. I've got to be happy with that. Coil on. Right, we're not getting something. I'll just turn the fuel pump off. I may have had the wrong rotor button on that. Try it again. Ha! Actually, she started. So why didn't it keep running, I guess is the next question. But it fired, and that's really what matters. Let's try. All right, so we're well into the next day. You know, it's the odd occasion I had to go and work a Saturday. Finishing off jobs can always be a bit like that. As you saw, I got this thing firing last night. Did it run? Kind of, a little bit, you know. I mean, look, literally I just bolted some carbies to it, threw a distributor in it, and just kind of went for it. So let's go backwards a little. Let's go back to basics. Let's go, what jets have I got in this car? I mean, I'm assuming it was running very lean. I might put some, I'll see if I've got a set of leads for this thing that might fit. The leads kept popping off, as you saw. What else can I try and do? I mean, mainly I'm going to look at fuel. Fuel is a problem. Do I have any more fuel here? That could be the thing that snookers me. Could probably drain some out of the rat trap. I think it's got a fair bit in it. I'll need a hose. Yep, we'll do the old siphon trick. Anyway, let's get into it. See if we can't, you know, make something happen. I just got to see if I do have any fuel kicking around anywhere. I got no fuel, so I'm just going to do the old hose, you know, into the tank, and we'll just suck on it, and hopefully don't get a big mouthful. Used to do this a lot when I was younger. Been a while. Right, let's see if we can't get it to flow. Give it a blow first. There it is. Didn't even get a mouthful. Sweet. See if I can get that to flow for a little bit on the hand, so I won't be having a smoke anytime soon. But that's flowing. Try and get some. Try and get 10 litres or so. See if I can't get this thing firing up properly. I mean, that was the main issue, is that I think it was just clickety-clacketing on that thing and wasn't actually pumping fuel. So these were the plugs that were in it. Yeah, I mean, you know, definitely looks like it was running rich. Burning oil probably. I don't have another set. I do have a drawer full of plugs, but they're a long plug. You see that? And the long plugs I have are a 12mm. So I'm just gonna have to clean them up. Like, I've got new plugs, that's the problem, but they're just the short ones, you know? So I'm just gonna have to clean those up for now and make do with what I've got. I'll just get a wire brush on them, I think, and just give them a bit of a zip. So look, I've verified timing as best as I think I can. I was trying to verify by poking something down cylinder 1, but seems like it's a long way down there. So if I go to the timing mark, which looks like someone's put it on there before, which is 8 degrees, and then set the button so it's facing at the little mark under the cap here on some of these. So they're pointing straight at that, which is cylinder 1. I'm gonna, you know, assume that that's a good place to start. We put some new leads on. One of them, I couldn't find one for there, so I've just had to go with a bit of a mix and match, but they seem to be, you know, on there nicely, which is good. Before I just kick it in the guts, I think I'm just going to check my jets. I got a feeling that might be, I just threw a random set of jets in there. So I'll pull them out, kind of verify what they are, and then I got a feeling, I mean, it was popping through the carb, so it's either timing way out or running hella lean. Seemed weird that it would be running that lean on idle, but you know, it could be. So what that probably means I should be looking at the idle jets, but let me just check what the jets are, the main jets and whatnot are, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So looking at those jets, I reckon I had a 115 in them. 115 200, like so 200 air and 115 main jet. You know, who knows? It's not much info on 45s or 44s on these 1.8s. You know, like I said, I know the carbs are too big. I'm not kidding myself, but they're on there. I could change them out for 40s, but I should be able to at least get it to run and idle, like, you know, and rev. Like, yeah, it might not drive great with these, but I just want it to run, honestly. This car's, you know, it's got a bit to do before it's a driver. It's got no axles in at the moment, so it's not going very far, so I just want it to run. I want this engine just to go bang and just sit there and idle and give it a few good pumps and rev it. And probably having no vacuum advance, that could be a problem. I wonder if there's a way of hooking a vacuum advance up to this, up to these. I know the HPMX has a vacuum advance port on them, but let's have a look in here. So I wonder if that there is a vacuum advance port. Maybe I'll do some research. Look, let's just see if we can get the thing to run first. Well, I was messing around and then I noticed a lot of fuel leaking on the floor and realised that if fuel's getting out that much, that means air's getting in, and that means that we've got a serious vacuum leak. And you know, the reason's probably because I used these second-hand things, you know, which is probably not good. I don't think I've got any, well, when I say I don't think I've got, I definitely don't have any new ones of those. Can I make paper gaskets for there? I probably can. Do I want to? Not really. Let's just go have a look at what we've got and see if anything's modifiable. Well, I just found a bunch of these. They're slightly bigger in the hole, and the holes are slightly different offset, but I might just give them a crack and see if I can get one to leak, you know, seal up. I might have a quick look in the gasket drawer and see what else I got going on. The workshop's a mess. Let's have a look. A few options here. So these are exhaust gaskets and they are close. But then I found these, and these are much thicker board, and they are actually out of a set of side draft webbers. And I think even though that hole diameter is slightly larger, the actual holes line up, and I think I can make those work pretty easy just with a pair of scissors. So I might do that and then see if we can stop that leak. Right, gaskets installed, carbs back on. Look, I've just left the carbs alone. Didn't touch them again after that time. That was a massive leak. I'm talking, you know, huge. So I got a good, you know, probably a good chance that that's what was going on. I've got the battery on boil. It's saying it's 90% full. I'm going to put it on. This thing's got a start aid. I don't know if it's going to help us at all. Flicker on. Fuel pump on. A couple of squirts. Engine start. Kind of wanted to. Let me put you down for a sec. It's not running well, but it's running, and it's making a heck of a lot of smoke in here. So I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Timing, look, having no vacuum advance hooked up, it's got to be a problem. So that will probably be the next thing, putting a different distributor in it. This is the first time that the Beetle Ute has had any kind of running engine in it. And I'm just going to have to call it that for now. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Look, I just got to be happy with that. At the end of the day, you know, it's running. And with that, I guess I'm just going to have to say, I'll catch you all next time.